okay, I won't share it if you decide in the end. Okay, let's see.
Right. Okay, so how far did you get when you had a look through what I had here?
I checked out the CIMO, the deploy manifest part, the agents. That was it basically.
Right.
And I checked out the review app branch as well, but there was nothing particular there that I could find. It was yesterday morning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so they would have not been merged yet. All right, well, I'll go over it quickly just while I've got you, make sure we've got the same idea.
Yeah.
There's 3 clusters and 3 agents, one for each of, I just split these up for production, review, and staging. There's nothing special about these except that they each have a dedicated branch that each agent looks at, they look at, and this is just like pure manifest. There's nothing fancy going on here. They're just YAML files checked in.
Yeah, and the common is for all the clusters, while production is only for the production cluster, right?
Yeah, and that doesn't really work that well with basic manifests. But you could hopefully imagine if you were using, Helm or something a bit more powerful here, it would start to pay off a little bit. It's kind of a pain, especially for review apps, which we'll get to. But everything else kind of works quite well. So this branch thing, I actually quite like, and I will show you why, is because we have predicted branches for each of these, and the only thing that can push to them is a dedicated token for that branch. So no one can mess with what is on this branch. You could configure this yourself. I've used project tokens, but you could also use deploy keys. They have to write to the branch.
Yeah.
But so you could do either, or a bot user, or you could do it manually if you really wanted, because then you could create merge requests. But we'll talk about that a bit later. Yeah, so these are just branches set up, protected. There's tokens. Each token is in also exposed as a variable for each of the environments clusters.
And that's how you connect it in the GitLab CI YAML, if I remember well, right? That's you do a git push with this token for the given environment, basically.
Yeah. So I'll go back to that then. So we've got these 3 agents looking at their 3 branches. This will have a bit more in it since last time you looked, but basically what happens is, and this project's a bit odd as well because it runs builds and tests and then updates manifest. So there's kind of 2 separate pipelines that'll be going on here, and that's why we have these things like if you've changed app files, build images, if you haven't, deploy manifests. But again, that's all right. But yeah, so ignore the review stuff.
Yeah.
But so staging and production is basically you wouldn't have to do it like this, but all this does is pushes to the branch using the token that we just had a look at, and then the agent picks up those changes.
I think it would make sense to go up to show the .deploy job a bit more,
right?
Because that's the core of it, basically.
Yeah. And so all that does is pull the deployment branch. In this case, is those protected branches. Merges only fast forward, so you won't get merge commits or anything like that. Very brittle. We'll come back to that as well. And pushes to the branch, head of the branch, and the agent's going to pick that up and deploy it. And it's that simple. This could be done via a merge request if you wanted to have approvals, code owner stuff, all that sort of thing. So this merge really doesn't have to happen in GitLab CI at all. You could have it just in a traditional merge request with all your nice rules and everything like that. And that way you can use all the pile of other features we have around making sure merge requests are approved.
Just so that I understand it correctly. So right now, when you set up the protected branches with the project access tokens, or so with the token users basically. This is because you merge and push from the CI. But if you would do it from the merge request, then you would set up those protected branches for the users who are allowed to merge.
Yeah, then you'd go, you need, minimum 2 approvals and all the kind of stuff that you can put on top of those. Yeah.
Okay,
makes sense. You'd still have them protected so that nothing can abuse them.
Yeah. But you would merge from the the merge request and not from CI. Yeah, makes sense.
So let's make a change.
Shouldn't you? Sorry, one more question. If you go back there, so back to CI, please. What I'm just looking at is that you are constantly working in your root repo, in the root of the current checkout, and you check out. Oh, okay, because you check out the deployment. Okay, sorry, no, nothing. Okay, everything. Okay, I got it. Okay, yeah.
It's a bit backwards to get your head around. You're not using, so you're checking out the branch.
Yeah, and then you change to a different branch.
And then you're changing branch. Yeah. So you're changing branch and merging the one you're in into the branch.
And that was the confusing. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that was the confusing step. Okay, makes sense. Okay.
Right. So now I'll try and make a change.
Yeah.
Is this going to ask me to create a merge request straight away? Oh, cool. Sure. So this will deploy a review app. I guess while we're waiting, I can look at the code.
And then basically just better understand it, like you as Tiger are allowed to merge because there's nothing around that, but then okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, nothing. Okay,
so
that's the run.
Review apps is where it gets a bit crazy because there's just one review cluster, one review agent looking at one review path, like branch ref. So that's where we kind of that's where it gets a bit silly. So again, ignore all the kubectl stuff. I'm just creating bare resources here to deploy something.
Yeah.
But again, so we pull the review branch, add some stuff to it in a directory. So we've created a directory for this review app, add some stuff, commit it, push it, and that gets picked up by the agent.
Okay, so you have a single review branch. I see. And then everything is running against that branch. All these manifests are
in their own directory.
Directory, yeah. And the manifest directory is defined.
That is here, and that's
CI environment select. I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I have no idea what CI environment select becomes.
That will be, well, we'll have a look.
Yeah.
Once this deploys, which shouldn't take too long. So all this is super fast, which is kind of cool. But if we go to branches, we can see that bot user or test user has just added this commit, which is those manifests that I just created from nothing in the CI job.
Yeah.
Yep. So that will eventually, that'll stand up an environment. It actually takes a while because it will provision an ingress and everything, and I won't change to that tab because it's been recorded, but that will stand up if I go to environments, it has been deployed to, and assuming that everything goes well. Have I got my merge request? No. I can stop the review app, which is the same thing in reverse.
Cleans up the namespace.
And the reason this works is because each is in its own directory on the same branch. So the only thing you have to rely on to make sure this works is that only one job is acting on the branch at once.
Yeah,
but since you have
what I want. Yeah.
And we do that with resource groups, CI resource groups, so that's okay. And then assuming that the directory is unique, it kind of just works. So that's
okay. Yeah, can we? I don't know how that works. Can we queue jobs like if they are in the resource group or they just fail if
they
both
wait.
groups they wait? Okay.
They wait in a pending state until the previous. So that they queue themselves up and go in order.
Yeah, and next question with this queuing is, and feel free to say you have no idea, is that we create environment one, review environment one. The resource group is taken. There's an unstarted manual job to stop that environment. When we create a new environment, is it that would they conflict or not?
They share the resource. They share the resource group, so they'll just join the queue.
Okay, but I mean, that means that you can't have two review apps at once because you have to stop the first before starting the next.
No, you can start up another one.
That's what I meant by whether they, because it's like, I guess both the start review environment and stop review environment jobs lock the same resource group.
But they check out the head of the branch each time. So when it starts, it will fetch whatever's just happened and then add its commit. And then as soon as it's unlocked,
the resource group is free to be acted on. And so it's just that. Okay.
Yeah.
So
they're always acting on the most recent version of the branch. So so that it does it should work. I don't know, when you end up with 50 review apps, maybe you run into problems. I'm not sure. But let's merge this.
This is pretty awesome. Up to this point.
The review apps, and that's kind of tricky because it's not in main. The cool thing about everything else is that everything is in main, and you just have to look at where branches are compared to main. But review apps is not, so you have to check the review branch. But that's okay; it's still stored somewhere. You could argue both ways that it shouldn't be in main.
Yeah, I think it's okay. That's an ephemeral environment, so that's okay.
And so I've merged this, and there was no manifest changes. So this is just going to build an image.
One question there is that why did you call the stop environment job separately? Like, did you set up CI to call the stop environment job when you merge, or there are some issues why you didn't?
I didn't, but you can. You're free to, because again, you're changing branch and pushing to a different branch. I haven't set up merge request pipelines, and that's what you need to auto stop the environment, I think. So yes, that should. I don't see any reason why that wouldn't work, but I just haven't done it. We can probably add that. Should be fine. This is going to build an image and test. And so now we can take the image. We'll go adjust the staging deployment. So I'm just grabbing the image that we've just deployed. I'll just say staging. I'm committing this to main. Usually you wouldn't. You might go through another merge request to approve these changes before they go. And now the pipeline, instead of doing anything with building and testing, has staging and production jobs. Obviously, this is going to only affect staging because I only changed the staging manifest, but you could change both of them. And if you were using, again, if you're using a bit more of a powerful templating system or something like that, you'd have, one change would apply to both things.
Just like customize that image and that's it.
Yeah, so you wouldn't just have a deployment manifest sitting there. That should get picked up by staging almost immediately if I go to not branches. See how long that takes to get picked up. And while I'm here, so this again would have no effect because I didn't change the right thing. You can manual job production, and there we go. So that's all happened. Yeah, so the deployment, so all this stuff is hooked up. But yeah, it's a bit out of sync because this says it's deployed when the push happened, or when the job ran, not when the agent actually picked it up. But it's probably close enough. It's close enough to work out what's happened. But now you can look at what was deployed, and it all just kind of like works like that. Yeah.
Cool. I will try to get you confused a little bit with one topic, but there are another one that shouldn't confuse.
Sure.
Sorry. I'm back. So I will try to confuse you with the second topic. The first one, I took a few notes here in our doc. You can see that one is that let's add the stop environment when merging. I think that would be something that we need for really showing it to our users. And the question,
I believe that will just be ticking the checkbox, and it should just work. But I'll test it out.
Yeah, I think in CI you have to specify the stop on or something like that, or it's part of CI.
That should all be
CI
there.
definition. Oh, it's right there. Okay.
Yeah, I've got. Here's the stop. So we can see from the previous screen, like the environment screen, that did have the environment did get stopped. It's now it's in there. So it did get stopped. I think I just have to tick the thing that makes it do it automatically on merge.
Okay. Yeah. There's also the environment on stop thing that you might have it already.
Yeah.
No, I think it's not there, but there. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Okay. That was the minor notes. The first question would be that could we automate the image tag update from review app to staging, or how to? And I think
so
that's. And then I understand that in this setup, this is like you can use sed or whatever you want.
Oh yeah.
but what I mean is that's a little bit missing to me there. That I have the review app. It uses image X, and of course, in the merge request, I can have it saying that use image X for staging and production as well. And once it gets merged, that might be the way to do it actually.
I think yes, but then if something exists in master or main already, you'll potentially go backwards.
Yeah.
So I did think about this, and you kind of end up in a bit of a chicken and egg scenario when you've got the same repo making the code changes as updating the manifest. Because if you're automatically pushing, then you'd be like creating pipelines for yourself. Yeah, we could probably think about that further, but I didn't come up with a nice way yet.
That was my understanding as well. I was thinking about it a little bit yesterday that using the same repo for, as you said, code changes and manifest changes doesn't seem to be a good idea.
It is a bit strange, and that's why we've got those kind of two separate pipelines within the pipeline, where you've got one if you've made app changes and one if you've made manifest changes. So it does technically work, but yeah, I think it will be a lot better when you have separate
we should just suggest
separate projects.
I think we should just suggest to use separate project and then have a small CI snippet how to start on a tagged build, for example, the deployment pipeline as a child pipeline, and then okay. Okay. Yeah, and actually, as it's a tagged build, we might get the tag in a variable that triggers the child pipeline, so we could set up the deployment pipeline to already use that tagged image.
Once you have different projects, it becomes a lot easier to do stuff like that, where you aren't pushing to the same branch that you're just changing, and like it gets a bit confusing. So it would be much easier, I think, and a bit more straightforward if you had a separate project. And separate projects, that's where it would kind of actually work if you had multiple.
Yeah, perfect. I like it. And actually you answered the part that I found confusing as well. So well done. I don't have anything to add there, because that was what I think about, is that like that basically tagging should work in the application project where you said, okay, build a new tagged image and then move it out to staging and production and so on. And when it's not a tagged one, then it might still go to review environment, but it shouldn't go to...
Yeah. The cool thing about this as well, since these are just branches, I can just... Oh, they both got pushed. There's you can just compare branches as branches, or create merge requests to do all these nice kind of UI things that we've been pretty good at for a while. They just work on branches, which is nice.
Cool, nice. Okay, this is just cool. I think we have. I think what is great. What I was thinking about is that when we write the docs, we should, as we are at the end of the milestone, I would suggest to have it as beta, as recommendations, but publish it. And I will try to get feedback from infra, from solution architects, technical account managers, so people who are on the field, like what do they think about this setup and whether we can remove the beta flag. And I think you should just focus primarily on kind of polishing what you have and writing the description, like all of it. But followingly, or besides that, if you have capacity, I would like to ask you to think about where could this fail, kind of like a pre-mortem style thinking. What might be the shortcomings of it? You mentioned that the git merge fast forward is brittle.
Right. I know exactly where it's going to fail. It's going to be there.
Okay, and if we don't do it, so the thing is, I'm not using Git on a daily basis for many years now, and like, can you tell me why is it brittle? Like when would it fail?
Well, if something changes, if something gets out of sync and the branch is changed by something, and causes And so that would ask for a merge commit. Like if, for example, if you wanted to hot patch production, and you merge something into the production branch, or into the staging branch, and then something else comes in from main, it's going to try and create a merge commit, which is okay. But the idea is that you want everything in main to be like, you want staging and production branches to be a subset of what's in main. You don't want to have to. You'd need a process around going, okay, we need to fix staging, so we'll merge something into staging. That needs to go back into main before main can get into, like, before the process can resume. So there's just like extra process that would have to go around
some cherry picking there. Yeah. Okay, I see.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Great. I'm really happy about this. Cool. I will start the recording.